Welcome, everybody, to the Destiny Dugout. I'm your host, Cruz, member of the 3-time World's First Team from Elysium, and this is what we've got going on this episode. Hopefully you enjoy listening, and let us know what you think in the comment section. Now, without further ado, let's get this thing started.
I feel like I'm watching a GIF. This is good enough.
What about... Oh, what? Dude, my Discord literally restarted.
You closed the pop-out window, huh?
I don't know.
Mine, I've had
I
that
don't
bug
know what I've
Cruz
done.
for months.
I
If
don't
I
know
pop
what
out a
I
window, but watch, I'm gonna close my pop-out window right now and it's gonna DC me.
did. Okay.
Oh, it didn't. Oh, I'm free. That's been happening to me literally for months. I'm not even kidding.
I'm gonna see if I can recreate it. Share your screen, stream quality. I don't know. Didn't.
You
It
just
was
have, you have to
literally
do a
what
pop. Did you pop out the player?
pop out the player.
You know, you can pop out like someone's stream in like a separate window.
Oh, really? No, I didn't do that.
If you see, that's what happens to me. I pop it out and I close that pop-out window and it full restarts my Discord.
Oh, that's nice. I don't even know what I did there. I think I just changed to 1080 and then 30 FPS, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Is it any better now?
Nah, it's a little better. It's fine. It's whatever.
Okay, what about now?
As long as the recording looks good, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's fine.
And your
Chill.
mic sounds fine, by the way.
That's good. The other day, like when Wild said in my chat, yeah, and it's like, I don't even know what to do because it just like happens out of nowhere, and then the next stream it was fine.
Yep.
I didn't do anything.
I saw Vile tell you that it was like that, so I was like, all right, he knows.
Yeah, and that's and I literally just like did a quick little thing. It's like if it didn't fix, oh well, like whatever. That like bit of sketchiness is so much better than hearing because I'm mashing my keyboard doing 40 well skates in a row. God, my hands for the first time were genuinely cramping. Like I was like, I fucking can't move my hand. Getting old, yes. Man, you probably do like 2 shadow skates and you probably seize up, right?
You know what, Cruz? This is the nicest you've ever admitted me, assuming I could hit 2 shadow skates.
I never said in a row. Could have been like within a week.
You assuming that I could hit him at all. So the fact that you're being this nice to me, I don't deserve this.
Well, you're welcome. What do you want to talk about? What's new? Well, obviously I've been doing stuff new. Well, because I've been streaming regularly for like 2 weeks now. I don't know what my numbers are, but honestly, like they're a lot better than I thought.
Yeah,
they started out pretty mid, like as in like 10 to 20 viewers, but you know,
it takes a couple. You know, people can't. You don't reach true heights until you start like really entering a scene and start getting hosts, and like then those people keep coming back. And when it's like, okay, well, Salt's not live, let's watch Cruz, or you know, Rowan just finished Speeds and Cruz is streaming, let's watch Cruz or something. Like that's just how it happens, man.
Yeah, definitely. I won't say this is like my first experience with that type of thing, but it's my first like good example of that happening to me, you know, because I've never really had something that I could just kind of consistently do and always just kind of have viewership doing. It's funny, it's like I feel like I have the thing to do now and no one else does, so you know, people just want to watch that instead. Just funny how that works, you know. Obviously we had some drama and leaks and stuff like that. That was like last week at this point, but you know, it's still stuff with that. I mean, we know there's other stuff coming, mainly like I'd say the exotic armor changes. where I'm gonna be a certified Arc Titan main with a helmet I never thought I'd actually wear. But obviously, I mean, we got weapon updates as well. Our primaries are feeling better. Have you used a lot of different ones lately?
I used Revision 0 goes crazy.
Oh yeah,
If you haven't
yeah.
used it,
Rev Zero's
you
busted.
you need to
It
use
was
it.
so funny hearing you were talking to
Obama and
Hilo, or no,
T.
not Hilo. Yeah, Obama in his chat the other day after
Yeah,
we were done speeding, and he literally was like all giddy. He's like,
yeah.
"Oh
Like,
my
he could
gosh!"
not believe how good it was.
I
Like
still
it,
think, like, when have we ever gotten a 75% buff to one particular thing? Like, that is legitimately
unheard of.
insane.
That two burst mode hits like it turns any master ad, even without the surge or overcharge, into just like a red bar, regular patrol red bar, like not a Neomuna patrol, but just a regular patrol. Like
Mhm.
it's so strong. And the Hunter's Trance or Trace or whatever it's called, it literally hits harder than RB.
Yeah,
Like, and
which
you
is
could proc 4
good.
times on it. Like, oh my god, it's so good.
It's kind of like an Arbalest in the sense that, it's a anti-barrier sniper type thing. But obviously, the benefit of this is it's a primary, but the downside is you just don't have it on command. So, I think it's fine that it's kind of like that.
I mean,
It's good to have something
one
good.
burst, one burst in master content takes about 75% of a barrier shield.
Mm-hmm.
1-2 burst at like pretty much any range. Like it's honestly, I think Rev Zero, uh, it might in general play. I think in most things it takes over RB, but if you're looking for like a total damage scenario, I think RB is still one of the best. But I think
Yeah, it's just
now
easy
with
to
Cloud,
use.
and but now with Cloud Strike, I think Cloud
Isn't
Strike
it
might actually,
crazy how much ammo the rapid fires have now?
yeah, Cloud Strike might actually be RB. I think it does beat RB into total. I saw a
Oh,
video. I don't know if
no.
there's any truth to it. I just look at thumbnails. Said that
Yeah, I mean,
Cloud.
thumbnails have great information that are usually pretty accurate. So, I mean, I agree. They have a lot of
God damn it!
arrows, and usually that
God
means
damn
that
it!
that's 100% truth.
A little birdie told me
Mm-hmm.
that Cloud Strike has the highest special weapon total damage.
Like,
And I
yeah,
think
I
I
mean, I
only
believe
believe it
it.
because of triple tap.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know what else could beat it. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Because nothing
It
else
would
is
need triple
ammo
tap.
efficient. Yeah, but the thing is, like, it just has the thunderstorm, which is gonna do more damage.
Yeah.
And with like 38 bullets, it's quite a lot for rapid fires to have.
Not to be
It's
confused with DPS. I feel like people forget what there's a difference.
for
Like
sure, yeah, and I mean even DPS, like there's multiple, multiple of that too. You just want to
right
consider
now,
one mag versus your full mag.
right now, I'm pretty sure Merciless is up there. People are starting to. You know what's what's crazy? People are reading perks now
Yeah,
because Merciless has
all it took
always
was
had
solo
that.
Nez.
Like,
Thank you, solo
yeah,
Nez.
like people are actually reading perks and using things and reading exotics, like Rain of Fire being comboed with Merciless, like so beautifully, like effortlessly. Like I don't know. I feel like before pre Lightfall, you tell someone to bust out the Merciless Rain of Fire and they kick you from the fire team.
Yeah, I mean, Merciless. It's funny because I still actually think that for like general gameplay, it could still use more. But it's
Yeah,
just in the niche context of just having, I won't say like infinite uptime, but just like incredibly high uptime with old school kill clip and um that charge rate. Oh my lord, it's I mean, there's a reason it can fry Ned's final standalone.
yeah. I mean, it just You get that. You get the tractor plus the kill clip, which is like it's not a regular kill. It's base boosted kill clip on Merciless plus Radiant. Like it just fries. It's so good.
I think I mean obviously since we talked last, it was it was before Solo Nez. Since then I talked to Snazzy just because he got that clear, and I kind of wanted to just hear what the process was. From your perspective, I mean, we can talk about a little bit more of the viewer side and all that stuff. What did you think of the challenge, and then also like going into what is being done now, because Explicator's also been soloed, so I meant every single encounter in this great difficult raid had been soloed, and now solo flawless.
Well, I was watching Moople for most of the solo Nest stuff, so that was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Moople's descent to madness.
Yeah, it's crazy because I felt like the whole story of getting Solonas went through so many different people. Where I genuinely thought like Moople at one point in time, like it's just kind of like on a different day. It's like on this day, man, like Moople's really like he could definitely do it. He's like he seems
Yeah.
like he's gonna be able to get it. And then another day, like earlier, for example, like Zemo's damage was just always better. So I was like, oh dang, like Zemo's definitely gonna get this. And then Obama was getting there, and he
Dude,
had
I was
like
about to
3
say,
trades, and it's like,
I'm about to say
oh, clear,
Obama. I
Obama's
feel like he
definitely
got
gonna
robbed.
get it.
I
Yeah.
actually like when I remember swapping between the streams when I started watching Obama. Like he was doing things that no one else was doing, in my opinion. At least I didn't see them doing it. I mean, um, for instance, Obama was using the boss, and he was also using the Colossuses to stomp him to go different directions. He was intentionally letting them push him to go
Mhm.
faster, and like stuff like that I saw him doing. I was like, that's so smart.
Yeah, he's just
That's
taking
actually
like the time to get a little bit of like free optimization. It's just like more time, the better, right? So
yeah.
it's like smart if you can. I mean, you're gonna be able to survive if you're doing things correctly. So it's like,
And with the raid mod, I mean,
yeah, that thing, release recover. That is a very good mod, man.
I think it's
I
broken.
notice a lot from just all the speedrunning I do now with the mod. Like I do so much node stuff. It genuinely allows you to just ignore things.
And then Explicator. You know, I'm a little bit bummed that it was basically the same strat as like Nez. I kind of was like when you see those really niche type scenarios where you are busting out the Merciless, the Rain of Fires, and that stuff's cool. But it was cool to see Sunbracers really like shine there. I know some people were using
Sunbracers in this
Sunbracers and
room,
Nez.
it's just man, it's
It's
match made in
not
heaven.
balanced.
You just you genuinely can solo clear the entire room,
Yep.
and it's not even like it's that hard.
Yeah, and if you're running the fragment or you're running Icarus Dash, you're just jumping around, getting free heals whenever you kill anything. Like it's
Yeah, I mean that's essentially how it lets it be done, because your goal for all of these types of challenges like that is just A, be unkillable, B, kill everything, and C, kill the boss.
yep.
Obviously it's a little more nuanced than that, but when you boil it down, it really isn't much. And that's where you say like the strats being so similar, I mean, like it actually kind of makes sense, but it is also annoying that at the end of the day, the structure of the low man and solo it's pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know T and I were testing, and the the damage is. I'm pretty sure it's doable with just Sunbracers, like at least hitting threshold. They're right now people are getting over threshold damage with rockets and I think that's the probably more consistent way to do it. But
Yeah.
someone could definitely do this with just Sunbracers. It's very doable.
Do a full melee only, or not melee only, a full ability only Root of Nightmares solo. Just gotta figure out how to ability spam Nez. I wouldn't
people are
put
already
it
doing
past someone one day.
I mean, you never know. Next season, I was
That's what I'm
talking to
saying.
Salt
Like
about this.
next season, you get like a debuff and buff, just like we had last season with the dungeon solo operative style thing. And when one thing gets nerfed, there's always something that ends up coming into the fold. I mean, when haven't we had something that's I won't say like broken meta wise, but like clearly above and beyond. It's like it's just how Destiny's worked. Sure, it might right now not feel like, or well, I mean, assuming with Starfire being touched and Oil not being the same, it's like, oh, maybe it's not the same. Like maybe it's not as good. But anyway, listen, we'll come back and it'll still be the same. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Always
And
something broken. I wouldn't
I
put
mean,
past people.
next season, I'm pretty sure we're getting Stasis and Arc artifact type mods and like Stasis Arc surges on
Yeah.
most things, because this season it's Solar Void.
Yeah, Solar Void Strand. So I mean, I assume it'll be Strand again, but
Oh
with
yeah, I think it'll just Strand the
Stasis
whole year,
and
which is good because
Arc
Strand is really good.
for
If you're not
sure.
playing Strand, you need to play Strand.
It's
Honestly,
gonna
all three are
suck
really
when
good.
those Tangle mods are gone. Like seriously, I
Well,
just want
we're
them.
gonna get other ones, no? I hope.
I mean, I hope so. I don't know.
These ones are really good. I mean,
They definitely
and
need to tinker with something with threadlings, because
I think
clearly, I
Threadlings are.
think
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say clearly, like with the mods, tangles are a little overtuned. I'll say, it's like I love using them, but they are like kind of broken. But without them, I think they're like underpowered. Aside from just applying volatile with a Titan, or not volatile, jeez, woven mail.
Mm-hmm.
But threadlings just don't really have that like term that they can, or verb, that they can help like apply and build around. They just kind of like damage.
All they have is the Warlock boots that when they things attack things, they unravel them.
Yeah,
So like
which is
it's like
nice.
Extra passive damage, but it's like it's not
Exactly,
enough
but
to
it
be
doesn't.
noticeable.
It
And not to
doesn't. It's not
mention,
like unraveling gives you some form of self benefit.
and not to mention unraveling. Like, well, first of all, the threadlings. When you throw threadlings at a bunch of ads, they all target one thing, and then they lunge. And if that thing dies to the first threadling, the other threadlings still dove for that one ad, and so they'll just like die with it. I don't know if that makes sense. So like it loses so much value. I don't know how they would fix that because that's like an AI thing, and I don't know. I mean, I imagine they could do something next season if we get more Strand mods, something like any Strand ability kill spawns a threadling as like an artifact mod.
That'd be pretty cool.
To allow to go into threadlings more. Or something similar to a fragment where when you have woven mail, your weapon kills have a increasing chance to spawn a threadling or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as it stands right now, like there's an artifact, or not an artifact band. There's a subclass fragment that right now is like super under. I want to say it's underused because we just got Strand, and there's not a lot of Strand weapons, or at least really meta defining ones. Like right now, Quicksilver Storm. Quicksilver Storm, if you haven't used that thing, it destroys. It's so good. Um, Especially with the Strand mods. And just as a primary in general, it is unbelievably good. And once we get more Strand weapons, the fragment, uh, your Strand weapon kills, like no powered Strand melees give your weapons unraveling rounds, and so but only to your Strand weapons, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a good Strand weapon, you're not getting proper use out of your unraveling rounds.
That could be pretty nice with the buffed rope dart.
Oh
You
yes,
know what I'm
which
saying?
needed a buff. I think it was terrible.
Yeah, it definitely like that and the grapple. It's like good steps, I'll say, to getting
Yeah.
Strand more across the board to be good, because obviously like the suspend aspect, not literal aspect of the game, but aspect of the class,
Mm-hmm.
and how it works. Suspend is great, woven mail is great, but it kind of lacks a few other areas. I think having, grapple have a little bit more functionality is definitely the right play. And and I think it's something where, over the course of a year, it just gets kind of fine-tuned even more and better. So it'll be crazy to do like a year review of what Strand initially was like to what it is at the end.
I mean, the first things first, man. I'll say it. It's fun as hell. I'm gonna be bummed when it happens, but woven mail needs to be looked at. Like it's fun now. It's super fun. It's so much fun, but it needs to be looked at. It is the end all be all. Like it is so disgustingly good for
Yeah, I
effectively
mean,
no cost, and
for sure, especially on Titan, it's so easy to keep up.
for basically and you get it for 10 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time. That's forever.
Yeah, that is forever. I mean, you just
10
got 10 seconds
seconds.
to make another orb, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
all you
an
need.
eternity. Okay. Like keep in mind we used to get protective light. Was it for 10 seconds also?
It was for 5, and then you needed more charges to get to 10 and more
Yeah.
charges to get to 15.
Yeah, we had protective light for 5 seconds give us effectively the same resist that woven mail is giving us now.
Yeah, but obviously on top of other things. It's
Yeah.
really funny to think in hindsight with like protective light, because in a no resist world and all that stuff, I don't know. It's like the game can properly be thought about with balance. And I mean, there's definitely times where if you aren't, specking hardcore into resil stacking benefits, that, things in GMs and master things, they do kind of hurt. Like I won't say like they're gonna be super threatening, but you definitely have to think a bit. Not
Mhm.
quite what you used to, but at one point. But I mean, ultimately, I just feel like this circles back to the whole premise of the fact that all this stuff can stack on top of each other. Like, how haven't we gotten to the point where resil caps at 50%? Like, no matter what, your max DR is just 50,
Yep.
or like 40 or 30. I mean, whatever. It's like, oh, and then that gives the player that versatility to be like, hey, I want to get my resil through woven mail. So I'm actually going to run like no resilience on my character and only like one stat mod. And then I'm just going to be making a bunch of orbs because I can build into that. I do think, or at least hope, that that is the future of, I won't say like build crafting, but a little bit more personality with builds, because I just think that's something that other games, obviously Destiny's unique as it is like a shooter, but other games in the same style do kind of have that type of that expanded freedom. Destiny's pretty limited while still having a build system, at least in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, the build system, we've talked about this at length. I think this is a really good start. Um, but looking in hindsight now, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Like, if we didn't have concussive or any resists, things like woven mail and protective light, they make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're 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 fine where they are, right? Because that would be your only source, right? You have one that's in a panic, and then one that you can kind of control with exotics and orbs and stuff. So, um, but because we have concussive and resilience and that stuff is just default, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
These things, these outliers like woven mail, and you know, I guess on the subject, just keep talking about old protective. Like it just can't work. It shouldn't be here. I almost think I don't even know how they would balance woven mail and keep it usable. That's the scary part, right? Because once they touch woven mail, I mean, the Titan boots, they could potentially just end up being dead in the water, just like that.
Yeah, I definitely think like with the whatever the new aspect we get as well, I think that can maybe breathe some new life for Titan builds out there, because I mean I'm a firm believer that if you run Strand Titan, that you should just have the boots on, because
Yep,
what do they call the Bant Leap? I think that's what they're
a
called.
Bay and Leap. Yep.
Yeah, with those, I mean you literally are just getting more of what makes Strand good, and the CC with those boots, I mean, quite strong. So, and that's all tied around that aspect. So maybe with the other aspect coming, that kind of provides some new, gameplay style. At least I would hope. I won't guarantee
It would
it,
be
but
more for a solo player though, because the other aspect is when you destroy a tangle or throw it, it gives you or allies woven mail. And essentially, if the other aspect has no interaction with tangles, then tangles become kind of dead in the water for you. And already
yeah,
now, as and also that aspect, I believe, when you have woven mail, it regens your melee like
yeah,
significantly, right?
yeah.
So losing that aspect is like, in my opinion, man, it's gonna hurt. Like straight, like the new aspect that comes out has to compete with that, and it's like, or you replace the wall suspend things, which man, I guess without the
I mean, that's
boots,
kind of the thing I would think you end up replacing, because I do think without the
yeah,
boots, I think they are kind of mid. Like as it's nice to have that type of thing, but I also don't think you need to build into it. One of those like nice to have, but also you're not missing too much out if you don't have it.
yeah, the class ability suspend. You mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. The more I
the
think about it,
launch.
that would definitely be the one to go, which would open up things like um, armamentarium, Hoyle again. Uh, you could go into, how am I blanking out? Synthos. I think Synthos are really good with Strand Titan. Like if they like, I think in my opinion they're definitely up there. But a Bay and Leap is just so good that like you kind of really can't justify using Synthos.
I know, and especially like if I'm using Strand for the purpose of using Strand, then I mean maybe not. But if I'm using it as like an option over something else, then that's when I feel like, yeah, those boots are kind of needed, because I don't think without the boots, it's like, not that Strand Titan's bad without them. It's just it ain't
It just
what
it
it
doesn't
could be.
shine. It doesn't shine over like Solar or like even Arc without those boots.
Hmm.
Like the boots really make it like getting woven mail and being able to permanently like suspend champions and pretty much anything but a boss with your wall and your grenade just cycling back and forth. I mean, it's just so good.
I know, it's so weird. It almost feels like anti-Destiny, because you literally just like keep them there forever. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
And if you're
I,
using a strand weapon with the artifact mods, like it just gets even worse.
mm-hmm.
You just shoot a tango with a strand weapon, and oh god, if it's not dead, it's suspended again. And then the fragment killing suspending gives class ability, and then dealing damage gives grenade. Like those two are absolute staples.
They're totally
They're
musts.
broken. Like they're just like so leagues ahead of what is it? Finishers make threadlings.
Bro, you need that build. I had it
Like
on my Vesper build. I don't know how much value I had out of it, but I had it.
like it's this is no way. I mean, the if anything, the tangle damage gives melee energy. I think that's a neat one that might get more use depending on what mods we get and like exotics and aspects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm curious to see if Hunter gets some kind of like aspect or something that does something with the melee. I don't know, hit targets are suspended because that'd be insane. um, and then you have stuff like that where it's like, let's say you don't get the refund. Uh, you can destroy a tangle, throw a tangle at a bunch of ads and get your melee back. I mean, personally, I love using the Titan melee and even the Warlock melee. Like, I think the Titan melee is so good.
It is
You just
really good.
you just slap a 30% like damage reduction on whatever's coming at you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
even without woven mail and a GM, you can hit like an unstop with the melee. It'll stomp and you'll live. Like, you'll be alive,
Mm-hmm.
which is unheard of. That and then you just combo it with woven mail and it's even more broken.
You can face tank everything. I mean, it's
Yeah.
legitimately like not even too difficult to apply. And I mean, to be honest, like the damage isn't even that bad. Like
Oh, it's great. With even
it's
without
not like
Synthos, like it's really good.
yeah, like there's a lot of other melees out there that have less functionality and don't deal as much damage.
Yep.
You know.
And you get 3 charges. And with your aspect, well, you have woven mail, which is super easy to get. Like again, like it's just Strand just works, man.
Yeah,
Especially
and
just Strand Titan. Like Strand Titan is just got everything in there.
yeah, and I mean, this kind of we know or knew ahead of time. It was kind of our early opinion of it as well. That Strand is just relatively like good sound design from the get go. It was good in when it was initially designed, and as it kind of went through its transformation to become the subclass we know today, it's still always kind of made sense. I think there's certain things that still lack. Like I said, it's like the suspend and um what was why can I only think of suspend? Oh, and woven mail are clearly
Mhm.
like the two like great things about it, but I would say that sever is definitely still like an unsung hero. I just think it's hard to like notice because you don't have like the sound effect on yourself of like woven mail, but it's definitely there. And tangles, currently are really good too. I don't really think I have an issue with that. Unraveling is a fine like damage buffer. Maybe just isn't as commonplace on at least
It
like
needs
the
more.
Titan build.
Yeah, you need more. No more ways to apply it, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, and I think having like the warlock aspect, I'd love something that just like unraveled like basically like every strand effect
Mm-hmm.
had unraveling, because if you could pair that with something like I'd love like some cross class kind of synergy if that was possible. um but like for suspended enemies, I've said this at nauseum before or many times, and it's like suspended is great. You can pin them up for like 15 seconds and then just redo it again with another like titan wall or nade or whatever, hunter air to air slam. It's like you can literally have them forever, but you also kind of are relying on just you anyway to do the damage. Unlike, not saying that like freezing a target is better, but one thing that freeze does have is that shatter damage just innately.
Yep.
So it does kind of help you out when you're just kind of shooting your primary. You at least feel like you've got some form of damage to help you out. I don't want, or I wouldn't want Strand to just copy that, because it's either going to turn into freeze or it would just be better than freeze. But I do think, like shorten that suspend down, bring up some other like unraveling on the target. And I
And
think that
also
would be such a
limit.
cool thing to tie to like the warlock.
Also limit what can be suspended because it's
Yeah, like
it's not
what?
balanced, man.
Why do I fight anti barriers with suspend and overloads with suspend and unstops with suspend?
Like
It's
it's
like,
just not okay.
remember when we heard in like the articles or whatever, and it's like, oh, suspend is anti unstop. What they failed to mention is also anti everything.
Yeah, it's anti-barrier. It's like
It
I
literally
was
is anti everything.
I was telling Obama this. I was saying how I think he might have been in the chat. How I think if you suspend like a barrier, it should be able to fight back. I think for champions specifically, like or maybe even some bigger ads,
I
but
think like the
like
ultras, like anything that's like also the champions tier, because they've got like
yeah,
the triangle, like have all those enemies. You can still suspend them, but you just can't like take them out of the fight.
exactly. Like yeah, lift them up and maybe it prevents the barriers from shielding. Okay, that's fine, but it's still gonna shoot back. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's I think is a big thing because it needs to do one or the other. Like you either need to let the barrier be able to shield, and then but it can't fight, or it needs to be able to fight but can't shield, right? Because as it stands right now, you're doing both, and it's just like it's just not okay.
Yeah, especially in the barrier context, it's like, okay, it can't pop its shield. So then, but an overload Minotaur, for example, could still regen. You
Hmm.
know, so it's like, shouldn't the barrier follow that same design? Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
that would
why
be.
it doesn't, because it's not on the ground. It can't do like the animation
Yep.
and like sink down and then pop it. But it's like, I don't know. Find a workaround. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise, it's just going to keep reigning supreme. And as you were talking about, like bringing more unraveling, I was thinking about, maybe for some kind of prediction, because this is, I guess, what I do, and I actually predicted a small piece of Arc 3.0 correctly in
Let's
Stralt's chat. I don't
go.
know if you remember that, and it's completely a joke, but I actually hit it, which was crazy. But I'm thinking of an artifact mod like killing suspended targets with a strand weapon causes an unraveling explosion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that'd be a neat way to bring unraveling to the mix, and almost like kind of like imagine kill. I mean, it wouldn't really work with Striga, but like with Quicksilver, you kill an ad that's suspended, and then everything else, gets the unraveling, so it helps you kill them faster and spawns tangles. And a little side tangent on the tangle subject. We were all, myself included, Turbo Doomer. Well, I don't know, but we were all, but I was Turbo Doomer
I
about the
mean, the
15-second
cooldown,
cooldown.
yeah, it's definitely, it
But
seemed so much worse than it was, right?
yeah, but after playing with it for quite some time now, and I've played a lot of Strand, it's perfectly okay. Like
Yeah.
any more tangles would have been completely insane.
Probably would have broke the game.
You really would have. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I'm just like doing strikes on like my hunter. Um, and I'm not playing like shatter skating or whatever. I just play Strand, and then I get a tangle to spawn. I'm running to the next area, and I just toss the tangle, grapple to it, and then let it take me. And when you do that, it doesn't eat your grapple.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is really nice, and that works for all three. Which, when I found that out, I was like, oh man, that's so sick. Because now you just have some passive way to get around and still enjoy the grapple nade. But and I was gonna say, when you're talking about Sever, I feel like the playtest for Sever was with the Throne World weapons. Was it Throne World weapons?
Oh,
The
the
ones,
psycho
yeah,
hack or whatever it's called. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
yeah.
origin
I
trait.
feel like
Yep.
I feel like that was the playtest for Sever. They
Maybe
were
literally
messing
was
around with it
supposed to sever the enemy, but they didn't have sever in the game yet.
because I mean, that just gives credence to the Strand was supposed to be in with Witch Queen.
Totally. Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, that's a good point.
like because they just line up so perfectly.
Do you ever use that fragment, the rapid hits sever the enemy?
I used it and I just to see what it did, and I was like, okay, this is dumb.
It's I think it's good for like GMs, but I think it's too many. I don't know, man. I feel like if
There's
it's not
too
enough
many good
shots,
fragments. There's
yeah,
too
I don't
many good
know.
fragments. Like,
It would be
okay,
good
if you're
on
playing,
arc.
if you're yeah, exactly. If you're playing, if you're playing. Here's the thing: if you're playing Hunter, Warlock, or Titan, okay, all three, you're running the killing suspended targets gives class ability.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is in the context of like GMs. Okay, you're running that because you're running suspend grenades. You're not running anything else. Okay. Now on a hunter, you're also all three. You're also running the generation, which is dealing damage against grenade energy because it's broken. It effectively, turbo boosts your discipline stats. So if you have 100 discipline, you're getting your nade back in like absurd amount of time. Like
Hmm.
a nade that not only completely like negates unstops, it also negates barriers, right? So even better. And you're using that on all three. And the third one is the oh god, why am I blanking out? The orb woven mail. Okay. Now this one you can escape using it on Titan. That's the only one. The other two, you need it. Right? Um Even when you're using Hunter and the new helmet, because if you're playing Strand Hunter and using that new helmet, you have to use grapple nades, which is not the greatest thing in GMs. It's really not.
Yeah, I
Um
mean, most
but
pieces
you
of content, it's fun, but it's not very effective compared to what you could be using.
The only, I mean, funnily enough, I actually think on Warlock, it's probably the best, surprisingly.
But the unravel melee, right? That's what you get. It's pretty good.
No, it's the grapple nade. When you grapple nade on Warlock with that aspect, I'm pretty sure it spawns threadlings.
Oh, maybe that's what it does.
Yeah, because your melee, the 3 melee charges, those are the ones that unravel on hit. So, it's a lot of like give and take, right? But for the most part, people are using suspend grenades because they're broken. They're using that hunter backflip thing because it looks really cool and it's broken. Titan wall, et cetera, and you're using those 3 for the most part. Those 3 fragments are like staples in most Strand builds. The other ones just cannot compete. They can't, right? Like, and then not to mention, if you're using Weaver's Trance with suspend grenades on Warlock, you want to go with the increased suspend duration, probably even for Hunter as well. Apparently, Titan Abeyant Leap, when you Titan Wall with that fragment, it doesn't actually extend the duration, but with the grenade it does. So you probably still use that. So like right there, that's 4 fragments that are disgustingly good in GMs across all 3 Strand classes. Like the fragments just can't compete. Like they're just so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of stifles Strand a little bit. And you were talking a little bit how, stasis has that damage aspect, and I completely agree. I mean, I remember talking to Vile about this. Like, Strand just feels like it's focused. Surprisingly, it's focused more on your weapons than anything else, because all Strand does is just support. It just completely supports you. Like, you decide when you want the support. But so if you're gonna play Strand, you need to have the arsenal to back it up, which is where Striga comes in, which is where now Revision Zero, which is where Quicksilver comes in, Forbearance, like these weapons that can do the job of what ability spam used to do. Now you combo that with Strand and your ability to essentially either debuff the target, apply like a small dot, which I consider unraveling a dot, or just completely CC them into oblivion with suspend. Like, your weapons need to be there to do it, to do the next part, right? Strand just sets you up. So
yeah, it really does. Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't think there's much better in the game at doing what Strand can do, but it's so clearly like an A+ in one category and then like a B or like a C in another.
And even,
which is fine. I mean, it's good to have balance like that, where it's like, if you are really good at having this type of benefit, then clearly you shouldn't be good at everything, and that there should be some trade-off there. So I don't think, like, design-wise it's bad. It's just relative to other sandboxes that we've had, and currently with like the other 3.0s, for example, with the light elements. I don't know. It's like, it's hard to beat when you could just fry the thing on solar or void, for example.
Yeah, I mean, solar and void still have a really high place right now, because it's the argument that people used to say. I mean, I used to say it for stasis all the time, which is, why freeze things when I could just kill them?
Yeah, I know. And it's
right?
like, they've gotten even better at killing, right? It's like, it's not like they're getting worse, they're getting better. So
yeah,
it's like an essence of power creep, where how good can the dark subclasses be at clearing versus just slowing, not literally slowing in game, but like giving you that breathing room and that time and that control. Because as much as we may think in a lot of different aspects of like the hardest things in the game, normally you think like really hard things, it's, okay, I need to focus more on playing smartly and using my abilities to keep everything controlled, rather than I need to play smartly and use my abilities to kill everything before it kills me. But it doesn't play that way. Like, that's not the way Destiny works with the whole power of our characters. Like, we can, single-handedly, literally, like, do raids and do a lot of different encounters, and it's only easier the more firepower we have as like a character. And like with 3.0s, that's what they brought all this power onto us.
Yeah,
it's hard for like the dark ones to keep up, even though Strand is as good as it is.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's just a defensive thing too, in my opinion. Like Strand just brings that just like unrivaled defensiveness that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you could get it with a well, but you need a super for that. For Strand, pick up an orb or throw a nade,
Mm-hmm.
and you have 10 seconds of effective invincibility, right? Um, and like you were saying, we're already so strong and like all the 3.0s made us stronger. Like so, if you were to look at like a you know a graph or something, you would see the strengths of all the 3.0s and how high they went when they got introduced, and then but you would also see they're just now meeting how strong we are weapon wise, right? And our arsenals are insane right now, which is why Strand and Stasis can still be so good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that just again takes Solar into a whole other level because not only do you have this crazy cracked arsenal, your subclass you can spam these nuclear bombs because of a chess piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
Infinite
know?
nuclear bombs while also having, like the power of forbearance as your special weapon that you can just use always. It's
Yeah.
almost like there should be this would be very like different from Destiny because Destiny's very free, every character can use everything and yada yada yada. What I think could be really good with this design is limiting what weapons go with you know, what subclasses. And that almost reminds me of other games, almost like even Anthem was like that for a little bit, where certain characters couldn't do certain things. Like, your tank literally couldn't have great DPS because if he could, it would be broken. But
Yeah,
that's
then
kind
you
of
would
what we
just
have with
you would
like
just
Well.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, because he would just be unkillable and do the most damage. So it's like, why
Yeah.
do anything else? You know?
Yeah, so the balance is okay, well, this weaker character is going to have that higher DPS, and it's just fundamental roles that just Destiny at its core are is it's very against that. It
Mhm.
wants that freedom for the character, and it definitely makes it unique as a game experience, but it's also like kind of difficult to balance that way. I don't envy Bungie's position when they try to create new things because I feel like power creep is so easy with how the game is fundamentally introduced.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also especially even harder to manage because they, and I don't even blame Bungie for this. They don't want to fill this game with a bunch of crazy, ridiculously hard content, no matter how many times we ask. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to do it, and they're not gonna do it. Okay, all that would do is just serve the small percentage of players that even like you know care about this stuff or even do these things. Like, it, listen, I would love to have a bunch of hard activities and master rates mean something and yada yada yada, but you got to be realistic, all right, and you got to in my eyes at least ground yourself in reality and understand that a majority of their player base probably will never step into a GM, like just outright, and then not to mention a majority of their player base hasn't even done a raid probably still.
I know, and it's like I guess when you think about how many people have or do currently just play Destiny, like there's a lot of accounts tied to the game. So
Hmm.
like you thinking majority, it's like yeah, like you gotta have like more than 500,000 people doing something. It's like how
Yeah,
can it be an end game and elite rare activity if you have that many people doing it? So it's like yeah, even though raids are easy, it's like they're still not like easy to those types of players. There's still
yeah.
so many of them. It's crazy to put things into perspective when you really think about numbers and say, yeah, when are 51% or more gonna do X activity or X thing with a subclass?
And not to mention, I feel like you know, not to go too hard on the hardcore player base, but like everybody was new at one point, and I feel like a lot of people just forget that that's where we all started, and just because some of us haven't been new since I don't know year one or even just D1 in general, like that new players don't matter. They do. Like for all you know, there's a new player who's loading up farming strikes right now, who in 6 months time after joining like the low man discord or after watching Salt or all these other top players, do stuff, and they're like, I want to learn how to do that, and they start doing it, and they end up becoming this insanely good player, and you end up hanging out together, and the next thing you know, you're like, this guy's really good. I want to ask him to be on my day one team. Like, that was a new player, right? And if you completely negate the new player experience, you lose out on those opportunities. Like, when we were first starting the clan, there were people who did not have very pretty raid reports, but at the time it was like, most of us didn't either. So it was like, yeah, we want really good players, but we also, can't really be shooting above our pay grade here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And those people, I mean, I think yourself included, like, you were one of those people who didn't have a crazy good raid report at the time when you
I
first
mean,
joined.
I joined with like nothing.
Exactly. Right. And so, essentially just writing off casual players, like, oh, why are we catering to them? Because those are the people that, like, are the ones that feed your teams, your groups of people. Like, people don't just download Destiny and then start low manning.
It's funny because like there's so many different examples I could use, but it's just like describing life almost. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you get old and then you die and someone else replaces you. It's like, yeah, that's how it works. Or like like in the sports example, you're on a team and then you get older and they're drafting younger players that learn from you and replace you and go on, and it's just like an inevitable chain of aging and growing past something. It's eventually the new generation comes in and takes over. It's like for like world's first races, it's like I can't run them forever. Eventually someone else will, I don't know, be doing them, or in some other game, assuming Destiny has, or not Destiny, but Bungie has other raids or a raid style event in their newer games in 20 years. It's like, I don't know, just, I know it's like a very grand look at what you're talking about, but it's just kind of like taking in account as much as possible. Now, yeah, every experience matters. So it's like,
Yeah,
when I
like,
think about the balancing aspect, it's like, oh, you have to think about so many different factors. Of course,
yep.
we are entitled to our own opinion of what Bungie does to the game, because consumer, and we can have an opinion of what we consume. But it's like, I don't know. They can only do so much in a lot of things. I kind of took that ways away, but same general idea.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. And it's just like, I don't know. To me, a lot of it just feels, it could be because I'm an old man. All right. I got
Very
old
old.
man syndrome,
But you
creeping
were
in. It's
once a young man.
debatable.
Okay,
I
old
was
soul,
born I was born
perpetually.
from dust.
Jesus,
Yeah, I was
the
an
dust from the
unfortunate.
canyon.
Yeah, I was an unfortunate culmination of dust that accumulated at the bottom of a canyon, and now I'm here.
You had a
That's how
bunch
I
of
came
old
to
people die there. That makes sense.
be. Exactly.
You're the remains that just came together.
Pretty much. Um,
Oh man.
and to me, it honestly is so, like, I hear these arguments and I hear people talking about stuff, and there are right ways to have these conversations, but I feel like the majority of the time it's just so entitled and spoiled. And it's like, I don't know. Like, to me, yeah, okay, it would be nice to have some things, but also recognize the things that Bungie has done for us, or at least tried. I mean, at least they're trying to make an effort. I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, this is a weird time to talk about this, especially with the state of the game and how it is right now.
I know, right?
Given all the weird shit, and I'm not excusing any of that.
The only
Okay, this
reason
is
I'm even
all,
playing the game is because I'm doing trio speeds. It's like I don't even know what I'd be doing if they didn't exist.
yeah, and all of the things happening going wrong with the game right now can be completely attributed to tech debt. All right, and I don't know if we talked about tech debt in here. I don't
No,
think so.
definitely not.
So just a quick TLDR of tech debt. The game was developed. What they did is, for making D1 to D2, they took a version of D1, right, and they started developing into D2, and they built it, for year one, and then they started building more systems into it, overlapping it instead of replacing it, right? And so they're just building off on basically the scaffolding that is holding D2 up is so fucking old. And it would take an enormous amount of time, resources, money, um, and effort on their part to basically go back and redo, D2 from the ground up to where we are now. It would take forever. I mean, I know Datto
Mhm.
made it. People are memeing on Datto for the engine video, but like honestly, I don't know how if he could have said it any better. Like asking Destiny to be at a different engine, just copy and paste it into a different engine. Forehead, like is probably one of the most like that's about as entitled as it gets. If you bring up anything about the engine and how it needs to be upgraded, like I I got nothing to tell you. Like I got nothing to say to you because to me you're just too far gone. Like I don't know. You heard some opinions on Twitter or something, and you think that it's just that easy, and it's most definitely not. And it's like, oh well, they're a game studio. They should be working on their game. They are. But these guys don't just show up to work and collect a paycheck. They're working. All right. It's just unless you sit there and you're an actual like game dev, I don't think you really have any ground to like essentially even claim that they're not, right? But at the same time, you can still be unhappy with the where Destiny is. That is okay. I'm not saying don't, just all of a sudden, forgive them. Yeah, they're working hard and don't shit on the gamer or whatever. But you have to understand what's within reason, right? And that's like I don't want to go into a turbo rant because we'll be here all day. But
Yeah,
like
I mean,
it's
I get
just
your
this
sentiment.
it's because this is not just a game thing. This is a real life thing, in my opinion. Like this is where it's about to get really real. All right, if you're sitting here and you're like, oh well this guy's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They should just update their engine. Like I could tell you, you have a lot to learn, and life will not be kind to you. Like, like
Straight
I don't
up.
know, like that's just bottom line, um, because anybody can say anything and just kind of like be like, oh well, it should be this way. My guy or my girl, listen, you're about to be really disappointed. Like, I don't know, so that's just, I don't want to go too deep into a rant, but um, to cap it off, yeah, I'm not happy with how the game's running either. All right. And you know what I
Yeah, I don't
do?
think many
I,
people should be.
yeah, I don't listen. I have things that I want to do. I just hit Paragon 11. I just hit the thing 11.
Hell
Paragon?
yeah, dude. You're
I did
Paragon.
it. Oh my God. This old man hit 11. You can too. I believe in you.
That's
Um,
yeah.
and but I have things I want to do in the game, and I do them. And guess what? When I'm not having fun, I go do something else that is more fun. And I know it sounds like such a piece of shit answer to be like, just don't play if you're not having fun. But that's what else are you gonna do?
See, I
You
can
know?
relate because I'm like, oh man, I also have nothing to do. I made something to do, but it's like I still don't have much to do, but I don't have anything else to do. So it's like that's where I can understand, but that's a me problem. I have games to play. I just don't.
Yeah,
I have work
and
I could do. I just like I should.
yeah,
I
I
make
mean,
I
and
make I sleep in the bed that I make or whatever that saying is. You know what I'm talking about?
you made your bed and you have to lie in it. Is that
Yeah,
something like that?
whatever. Something like that. Surely
Yeah,
somebody
I don't know the
knows.
exact line.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
it's just I don't know, man. Like to me, it's just so simple because you can. The last thing you want to do is you want to make your whole personality crying on Twitter about the game.
People love crying. Let me tell you.
Okay, like that's just not it. It's not a good look. No one likes it. No one's like, oh man, Cruz is crying on Twitter again. Thank God. I'm so glad I'm seeing these tweets, dude. Honestly, if I didn't see these tweets, man, I'd be lost. Like, no one's thinking that.
Yeah, negativity sells, but nobody wants to be negative forever. Like you
And if you
want,
do, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's you should have gone into the canyon and kept going. Fall face first. right down. I don't know.
Do a flip.
We all want to be happy. Be happy.
Yeah, I mean, and just like, I don't know, just to a certain extent, like make your own fun. Like one thing I've always said, and I believe I've told you this plenty of times, like the people that complain there's not enough to do or all that stuff. I remember during Haunted, for instance, it's like there's not enough to do in the game or whatever. And listen, I'm not going to defend Haunted, but there is stuff to do. You just don't want to do it,
Mhm.
right? The Bungie's giving us stuff to do now. Whether or not it's good, that's debatable. All right, but there's usually stuff to do, right? And it's just a matter of, do you want to do it? Probably not. You know, if it involves farming strikes, not a lot of people enjoy that. I mean, I don't mind farming strikes personally, but
I mind them now that they're 10 minutes long each one, but
that's actually, you know what? That's a really good point.
I've
Yeah.
gotten to the point where I thought that I was gonna be farming Gambit for stuff, and now I'm at the point where, well, that was like last season, or 2 seasons ago. And then I was like, well, I got what I wanted from Gambit, so now I have to go farm Rumble.
Oh, yeah,
I know, that's not ideal.
yeah. I mean,
I-
and I don't know. You just gotta like just make your own fun in a way. That's all I got. You know, like do stuff with friends. You know, just be like, you want to do a casual like Spire because you don't have all the cowboy hats yet, or you don't have all the exotic drops, or you got to do Catalyst. Like, you know, get together, do that stuff, and then when you guys get bored, I don't know, man, go play Fortnite no build.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You know, like your life doesn't. Listen, Destiny is a game that can consume a lot of time, and it has for a lot of us, myself included. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm also capable of just not letting it consume me,
Yeah, just don't,
especially
forehead.
especially when you're not having fun. Like,
Yeah, isn't that the strange thing though about people? It's like I almost feel tied to it. Like I can understand the feeling in Destiny of it actually kind of consuming you and feeling like you need to do something because you don't want to like miss out.
yeah,
And
the
like you don't want to
FOMO,
like you don't want to lose potential
progress,
time of
or
like, oh, I don't have like this, I don't have as much good armor now that like, oh, I could have been farming, or I could have had like more rockets at this point, or I didn't have the materials, and now when this update happens, I can't just instantly have that
or
new
yeah,
thing.
I should have farmed Nightfalls, or I should have farmed GMs. I should have had golf balls. I should have farmed
Yeah,
alloys.
and
Like,
like it almost never matters to not have that thing immediately. So,
yep,
like, if we're given advice, my advice would be to just get it when you want to just go through the game and just play it. It's like if you don't want to play Catch Crash to get weapons and stuff like that, like it was a few seasons ago, then that's fine. I mean, like you're not really gonna be missing out too much. It is what it is, and if you do miss out on a few things, oh well. But I mean, that's again like that's your choice of, is it worth the somewhat unfun to get to that thing? Then you can't
and
go around and be like, oh, but I didn't have fun, I'm angry now. It's like, well, you
yeah,
chose to do that.
yep. You know,
Yeah, you don't have to get it right away.
and for the the real high end players, you know, the ones that want to make sure they're prepared for every day one, that's that's a choice, but at a higher level. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
making a choice to compete. Okay, if you want to compete, typically you got to be prepared for anything. I mean, maybe that's not the same as it used to be. I mean, with the way day ones are
It's
turning
definitely
out now,
much less that I mean, even beyond the day ones, just prepping is easier than it's ever been,
yeah,
because, just not only just getting all the things is easier, but catching up is easier. They kind of introduced all that stuff, you know.
yeah, and that's just, it's just making choices at the end of the day, right? And if you find yourself farming for all those, like you said, catch crash weapons, and you ended up hating it, and you're like, this activity sucks, you got to ask yourself, why did you do this? Oh, I wanted to get all the weapons. All right, you chose to slog through this, man.
Are you ever going to use those weapons? Like, I want more people to actually think about that.
Yeah, like, or
Man.
set like realistic, like little almost goals. Like at a certain point, I'm pretty sure with what season was it? I don't think it. I think it was Catch Crash, or it might have been Haunted. At a certain point with Haunted, whichever. What was the last season from last year?
The last season?
Yeah.
So it's the one after. You're talking about the one with the dungeon that came out? Seraph?
Was it Season of the Seraph?
Seraph was the one that had the dungeon. The
Yeah,
mission,
so that was the last.
obviously. That's the
What were
last
the?
one, yeah.
Yeah,
That's when they
so
gave out all the weapons.
Seraph is when that season I like took it so casually, like in terms of grinding the weapons, I was literally doing weekly reds. Like
Yeah.
weekly reds, one activity to get my like the high chance for a red border, and that was it. Like I was not really like super vibing with it, and I was also just playing WoW. I'm not gonna lie.
You're just enjoying WoW at the time. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like you can make it work, right? Like, and also having the weapons like immediately, unless you're a content creator, who cares?
I know.
Who cares? Like I don't know. I think it's just personally, I'd like to see people be a little bit more realistic in terms of the game, what they expect out of it, like, and how they handle essentially not getting what they want. Because for the most part, all I hear is crying, just constant, just crying, and I don't get it. I don't know. I feel like it's okay to not be happy with the state of the game, but fucking chill out. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I
Rant
mean,
over.
obviously, I don't really have an issue with people being upset, especially with like how Lightfall turned out and our whole belief system of like this was just filler. Like, what the heck? We're missing an entire year, and this was just
Yeah,
what they could put together. And I mean, as much as I don't want to believe that, I do think it holds some
hold
merit.
some weight.
Um, and it's like kind of it is what it is, but also like I don't know if I should have. Of course, eventually I will have excitement for Final Shape, and anything and everything probably beyond. But people can be upset. You get one Crucible map per year. That's pretty bad. That's
Oh, the
you can
Crucible
be
side of
upset
things
about
is.
that.
Oh man, those
Um,
guys can be upset as all they want, man. Those guys have been left in the dust.
yeah, that's definitely like I think a good example, and there's other examples in the PvE side as well of just the game not having, I'll say, the attention that it should deserve, but that's
That it
fine.
requires, or we
Yeah,
think it requires.
exactly. It's definitely a perception, right? It's like we believe that it should have more. So, but I mean, who wouldn't want more? We were getting like 2 raids a year or 3 raids a year, and we're like, we should really probably have 4 raids for each season. And it's like, whoa, chill there. I get that. I get that Eater was a easy raid, but still, come on. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just have this a thing that I don't know if you've heard people are using the word ick now. Have
Oh,
you heard that
great.
in context?
No.
I'm an old man using the terms that the kids are using. um, it just irks me, man. When there's so much cool stuff in the. I'll say it. If you take off Starfire Protocol, there's other things in the game. Half the people that are crying are Warlock mains. That's a bold read, but I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yeah, probably.
Like, take off Starfire Protocol and explore what other exotics in the game has to offer besides having 2 pocket nuclear bombs at your disposal and making everything like turbo easy. Like, believe it or not, the game's kind of cool. And also, when you use other exotics, when Starfire gets nerfed, and then those exotics get buffed, look at that. You already know how to use them,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to
Sunbracers, man.
watch. Yeah, I mean, one of the best examples is Sunbracers. Like, it's rise to power is happening right now. Like it's, before the nerf for Starfire even. Some bases are actually friggin' insane. And they've been insane for a good minute now. But people
You know
are
what's
only starting
funny
to
is
notice.
that if there was ever something for firebolts too, which we kind of have right now with the artifact, but
Mhm.
if there was like an exotic that touched it, anyways, they would be pretty good too. You know why? Because touch of flame is really good as an
Yep.
aspect, and you kind of just get it for free if you want.
Yep.
Unless you
You
got a
know,
speed like me, then you got to take it off. You got to live with your choices. I've been
and
loving firebolts though, real quick. And there's just
yeah,
I'm gonna be
I
so
love those
sad. I'm
mods.
gonna be literally so sad when they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, I think I told you when we looked at the artifact at first, I was like, oh man, these fireball mods look really sick. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
like, double fireball charges, they increase the scorch. I remember
You're just
thinking,
having two more scorch. Yeah, it's easy to get ignitions. You just throw it at the target too, and it just ignites them. Oh, it's so good.
yeah, and it's a
I love
great way
it.
to proc momentum transfer, you know, bolstering detonation, or I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like it's just and just hitting anything with it spawns a fire sprite.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I
Yeah,
was thinking
like
today. I was looking earlier today or yesterday when I was doing some builds. It's funny. We're like in the video. We're at Cision, and it's like I was trying to think of a necrotic build to run here, just to
uh
mess around and see if I could help with ad clear as we're moving along.
mhm,
And when I was looking at fragments and stuff like that, because I wanted to basically have a lot of scorch and ignition stuff going off too, if I could. And it just kind of came down to I was like, man, what would I use to get a fire sprite if I don't have this? Because like the resto um fragment's so nice right now
mhm,
with firebolts. Like I love doing it. I love using it when I run because I feel like I'm just like permanently getting like a couple seconds of resto every time.
yep.
But if without it, it's like okay, I pretty much just have to do the scorch one. It scorch targets, defeating them,
It gives
gives
melee
fire sprite.
energy. Yeah.
And it's like it's good, but it's like I also need other things. So it's like, oh, it's big of me choose. I don't want to have to choose. I just like when they make them, you know.
Mhm. Exactly, and that's I don't know. That's just stuff that it gets overlooked. I mean, and personally, I've seen people on Twitter, they're giving their ratings for Lightfall. I
Oh
would
yeah,
give
a lot of. I'd say 3 to 5 is the most common.
I would honestly, like, for me personally, I would put it at like a 6. Um, because for one, I don't care about the story. I've never cared
Mm-hmm.
about the story. Like this. Like every time the new expansion, I'm still playing game muted, dialogue muted. Like I'm just flying through, just trying to get to my new weapons and roles and mods and artifact stuff. Like that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for me, the story sucking is like whatever. I could not care less. Um, but the thing that I really enjoy is Strand and the essentially the playtest of these artifact mods. Like these artifact mods, and I think Bungie has shown this, time and time again with other artifacts. Like you can look at the evolution of the game and things that we've gotten as mods or like permanently in the game as a result of an old artifact, right? Like those mods appearing.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's their
with that
testing
being
ground.
yeah, with that being said, these artifact mods that they're bringing in this season, in my opinion, are probably they might not be the best, but they're probably some of the most fun I've had with artifact mods, like almost ever. And that's crazy, like ever, because typically the artifact has got like, oh, stun a couple champs. Here's a mod that makes you reload fucking glaives faster. And then here at the very end, here's one broken mod that everybody needs. Or your
Literally,
base.
that's kind of
That's
the structure. You get
that's
like,
been every
okay,
artifact
damn,
mod.
we got anti-barrier sidearm for the third season. That sucks. Okay. Um
No.
uh
Overload SMG and auto for
Overload
the third
SMG.
season.
Yep, that happens all the time. What else? Oh yeah, breaking a barrier shield spawns an elemental well. Okay,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
Picking
Stunning a
up an elemental
champion gives
well.
you charge.
P-
Okay,
p-
cool.
Picking up an elemental well gives you, 2% more ability energy.
Uh-huh.
Cool, great, love
And
that.
then snipers do 300% more damage because of reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one. Everyone buy that one. Bounty prep so you can buy it right away. You never know.
Exactly. Like
Gotta be
that's
ready.
but this season, like you have I believe it's called Untangler, blowing up a tangle with a strand weapon suspends enemies. You
Oh,
have
it's
the
so
threaded
great.
blast, which increases the
Yeah.
blast radius of it and does more damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that those two in combination are just so freaking awesome. Um, like you have volatile flow, you have the I don't know
Bricks
what it's
from
called. It's like
Beyond, Void
Bricks from Beyond,
Channeling,
like all of the and then prismatic, is it called prismatic transfer or something?
Prismatic is, yeah, popping a super,
That's just
other
a good
allies. Yeah.
passive one to have when you're like, let's say you're about to do some raids with you and your friends, you're about to do a couple raids, you just reset, grab that real quick, and on top
You
of
just
the
pop a super and giving everyone just around you that's not on that subclass like damage. Like that's
yeah, like
pretty nice. That's a
and
good mod.
it encourages using roaming supers or like one-off supers. Like, you're with a group, you're about to kill a yellow bar, you just pop a Nighthawk, everybody gets a damage boost. Bam, you just, do a bunch of damage
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, um, unstopped glaive, overload sword, whatever.
Yeah, that's they gotta
Whatever.
always bring the glaive guy something.
But the double fire bolts and the fire bolts
Flare,
uh,
the scorched
drop a
one.
fire sprite and they apply more scorch. Those are
Mm-hmm.
freaking awesome. Those mods
I
are
know.
so sick. And you have the grenade cost reduction one, you have the void cost, the strength cost, the solar cost reduction, you have the combination solar and strand or combination void strand siphon mods. Like there's so many fun things you can do, and obviously with the change to not requiring a cost, like you just like I mean I found myself I log in and I'm like I want to make a build with like let's say Phoenix Cradle on my Titan, and I have all my like Strand artifact mods unlocked. I just reset, put all a bunch of the fire bolts and all the solar mods and solar siphon and stuff or whatever, and like easy done, you know. And it's
And
it like
seasonal
go ahead.
builds are gonna be really nice too with the change to being like an instant change for your artifact. Like you can customize it per build and loadout. Like that's
Yeah.
gonna be such a great thing to have that freedom, right? Because that's always a thing that's sucked with the artifact. Beyond just resetting it, it's just like, A, it takes so long. You can't just instantly change it. Oh, I want to go from using this setup to this. Like you're just locked into whatever you pick, and that also reinforces that annoying. Oh, this mod is like the best, and we're just always going to use it. We're always just going to use grenade launchers because they just do a debuff and reload all our weapons. It's like, okay, well, I just always use. It's the GL season more than it
Yep.
is like multiple things. Like right now, it would be like Firebolt Scorch kind of builds, and it's like, okay, that's really fun. You've got your Tangle builds that you can work with. Obviously, all the mods that are cheaper, that are Void and Solar, Nade based, all those are cheaper, so I can go into Nade builds a little bit easier. I mean, you could like freely customize all of that if you wanted to. I mean, that's not literally right now, but like especially with the update coming, that allows those unlocks to be instant. It's like such
Yeah.
a great change.
Yeah, and you could even, pretty much do two of them at a time. You could go Void and Strand and get
Mm-hmm.
all those mods, or you can go Solar and Strand or Solar and Void. Like, and again, like this is one of the few seasons, if not the first, where I've looked at all the artifact mods and I'm like, these are all sick. Like, I could see myself using all of these at some point or another. Like, even the breaking the matching shield drops an orb.
Dude, that's so good. I'm gonna
It's
miss that so
underrated, man.
much.
It's underrated right now. Like, I mean, right now since match game is gone, you don't have to match the shield, but when you do, it dropping that orb, it's a big orb. Like it's not like a tiny little
Yeah,
well
it's a
orb.
big
Like
super orb.
yeah,
And
it's a
you fight an
giant
enemy, like
orb.
a group of enemies, and they all pop their shields. Oh man.
Like if you're doing lost sector farming or for the first time doing lost sectors, put that artifact mod on. Put it on because it tells you what shields you're going to experience when you do your first run. Whichever one has the most, use that weapon as your primary and just go crazy. You know, like it's stuff like that that I just, you know, which is why I would put this season at like a, or this expansion so far, I like a 6. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, and um, the exotics are neat. I don't really care for the machine gun, the sidearm, um, that much, but I would say the bow. I think next season the bow, Veriglass, is that what
The
it's called?
stasis mod, yeah.
That bow is going to go so unbelievably crazy because if we get some kind of artifact mod that deals with breaking crystals and getting some kind of benefit from it, holy moly. Like right now, the bow doesn't feel that great because everything else is, you know, kind of new and fresh and everybody's still um, using some of the old stuff too. But once we get those stasis mods and people see a reason to use the bow, I mean, I think it's going to be kind of nuts. And also
Have you?
the new shotgun from the raid.
Oh, bro, that
That
shotgun's
thing is
broken.
awesome.
Anyone who's listening / watching this is seeing footage with me using it because we literally kill everything on Incision with just the shotgun, just ignitions and just freezing things. It is, oh, it's so good. I honestly love it. It's so much fun to use. The only thing I wish it had a slightly faster fire rate because it's kind of
Yeah, it's a
slow,
little.
but like it's only like a 9.8 out of 10 because of that. You know, if it's shot like 50 RPM faster, that's like 10 out of 10 because it's not only really good, but it's also like pretty fair, really good,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like anarchy really, where it's like overpowered.
Yeah, you know, and like with the fire bolts, you know, I've built into full ignitions on both my Titan and Hunter, and it's probably some of the most fun I've ever had in a GM. Like I know I've been talking up Strand and stuff, but ignitions are awesome, and up until now, there hasn't been really like a super, in my opinion, a super like definitive way to get like really to get a lot of ignitions in a lot in like a short span of time. But
Mm-hmm.
like now with the shotgun and with the firebolt mods, um, you're just igniting everything. And not to mention, listen, I'm a Polaris Lance lover. Okay, I love me some Polaris Lance. Combo that with it, it's just Ignition City, man. And then when you see those big yellow numbers, and then you have Ember of Char on, so it applies a Scorch, and then let's say something was already Scorched, so that ignites, which then stacks Ember of Char again, and then everything else starts. It's honestly so freaking awesome, especially when you can basically combo it on 3 like really big yellow bars. If you scorched like 2 of them and then you ignite one, it'll like can basically start this three enemy chain where they'll just keep igniting and blowing themselves up until they're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. Highly recommend. So I guess
I
that's 6.
think
What would you number it if you already did you already?
like I think like 5. I think I said it 5. Just purely just because like initial hype just like fell pretty flat.
Mm-hmm. And the
Um
day one was
yeah, like, yeah, in the day one for
yeah.
sure. But I mean, like honestly, like obviously with speeds that I've been doing, like the raid's definitely grown on me. I do enjoy it even though it is super easy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like, of course, I feel like as a result of this raid, like whatever the next raid is, has to be a really good reprisal and like feel pretty new because otherwise I'm definitely gonna feel a little bit of fatigue. I mean, similar to what I felt with Vow, because I just felt like Vow wasn't super replayable because of the opening.
the
You know, like the
honestly
first
the
50,
opening.
it's even in the first encounter, even a little bit. Like the first
Yeah, I
15
was gonna
minutes
say
of
the
your
first
raids are
encounter
just kind
too.
of boring.
The first encounter is very slow.
I mean,
Very slow.
Caretaker, if you do the gaze, is boring too.
Yep.
I like third encounter, but it's also like outside of that first experience, you just steamroll it, and then you're at Roll, which is a good encounter. So it's just like I don't know. Like I think it's a very good raid. Not to get into raid rankings, but like, I think Val's good. It's just I didn't find it super replayable or a ton of fun to keep running. And while I didn't find Root a ton of fun at the start, I'm definitely enjoying rerunning it
Warming up.
more. And I mean, hey, it's a hell of a spoils farm to just, do runs over and over again. Not gonna lie. I spent 500 spoils on a linear the other day, like the depth one. Didn't get
I saw
rewind
it on stream.
and high impact. I got focus fury, which is like just
Is the
slightly
next best thing?
worse. It's definitely it's definitely the next best thing. So, and it's like, it has like good stability, and it would have been so good.
Yeah.
It is what it is. How you feeling with that one? Are you good?
Yeah, I got my rant out.
Yeah.
I-
Not the rant that we talked about on Obama's stream. That was the stasis one.
Oh, we'll have to.
Do you
Oh
remember
shit!
that one? Yeah, I know.
Did I already give my bad take this video?
Probably.
Did you say so?
You had a good little bit, so I'm sure you did. Yeah, I would say so.
Should I put a definitive bad take?
Real quick, hit me with it.
I like Thunderlord a lot, and if you don't, you're cringe. Shut up.
Oh,
That's my bad take.
That's a tough one.
It's a fun gun.
Well, I mean, I agree. It is fun.
So,
with that being said, of all things, that'll wrap up episode 20. Wait, I don't know. Isn't it crazy we're on 20? I know you have a little break, but like crazy, right? It's still going, still here.
Oh, also shout out to Upgrade. I totally lied to you. I apologize. The episode is the episode.
Yeah, it's partially Vandal's fault, but partially mine too, because literally part of the reason why this is even coming out when it is because literally every night that I'm free, I'm pretty much speedrunning.
Speeding.
So check out the Twitch, because that's where I be. Even though I know most of you guys who are listening here are already there, so I appreciate that. But
I want to see all of you in Cruz's chat, and you better say some mean things to me about the fact that I like Thunderlord. Get in there, get active.
Oh yeah. I think I don't know. We'll see what happens with episode 21. There's a little I won't even say little because there's pretty good prize pool with it. But there's a 3-man speed tournament that's going to be going on soon. So that might be a topic of conversation. Definitely just practicing. I think at one point, it would be fun to talk to Obama about obviously him being in the clan, what it's like kind of being. We can get a little more personal about what it's like joining a clan that's like this. Not that he joined that long ago, but I think that could be cool experiences with also all of the trios that we've done, because we can kind of dive deep in terms of all that we learned.
Yeah, let us know in either the Discord or the comments if you want to see an episode talking about, without spoiling too much, talking about the trial process, what it's like, the kind of environment from a newer member, which would be Obama. He is the newest member, I believe.
I think so, yeah, which is crazy because it doesn't feel that way, but I mean, it also goes to show that not that recruitment's ended, but it is funny. I was talking to him the other day about this, and it's kind of just one of those life cycle points for us where you kind of get to a point where you have your group and you just kind of live with it. I mean, we used to always not really make fun of Redeem, but we talk about oh, they never recruit anymore, they don't get any new people. It's back in Warmind. Mm-hmm. And it's yeah, I understand now. Eventually you just kind of get to a point where you have your people. Not to say that we're obviously
where it's more about who can hit the line or who can do a Rocket Starfire rotation better. It's more than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, and I think the newest member is T, technically.
True. Yeah.
Yeah,
but T's been here for.
Yeah, he's basically.
Yeah.
But let us know if you want to see that. If you want to get kind of an insight on that, and because I think I think we're gonna be opening recruiting soon.
Sometime at some point soon. We don't know exactly yet, but it'll be sometime soon.
Yeah, soon. So
Yeah.
join the
Yeah.
Discord, watch Cruz's stream.
All the above or below. I don't know. Yeah, I've been streaming regularly, so if you want to come see stuff or just chat, you can always check me out at my Twitch link, twitch.tv/TV Cruz. Our socials not only are on screen for Twitter, but also in the description, so hang out there, and you need to see our great opinions, you can always look at Twitter. That's a great spot. Now, everything productive comes from there. And join the Discord, because the Dugout is a sick place.
True.
Thanks for watching, dudes. Have a good one. We'll see you in episode 21.
See ya.